Welcome back to KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle. Of Nebraska's 23 Big Ten championships, more than 2/3 have been won by by women's teams. To talk about the success, the Big Ten's advantages, and the ever-changing landscape, this week I went down to Memorial Stadium to talk to Kristen Brown. She's the Deputy Athletic Director and Senior Woman Administrator. Kristen, thanks for joining us on Chronicle this morning. It is hard to believe that Nebraska is entering its 16th season in the Big Ten. From a women's athletics perspective, what are the advantages of being in a conference like the Big Ten?
Yeah, the most obvious is the television exposure, right? The opportunities that our young people, particularly our women's student athletes, have to be featured and profiled, no matter the sport, throughout the Big Ten is really important. And then I would say, in addition to that, the financial aspect of it, right? The resources that we get from the Big Ten, from our media agreements, we are able to invest that right back into our female sport programs. So think facilities, coaching, equipment, technology, nutrition, all of those things we're able to invest right back into our female student athletes that hopefully give them a competitive advantage and to help them be successful.
How has that changed over the last decade and a half?
Well, the financial number continues to go up, which is certainly helpful, but just the entire landscape has changed in athletics. When I started out as a student athlete, one of the biggest issues was, can you put cream cheese on a bagel? And now we are paying our student athletes through NIL and rev share. So certainly the financial piece of it is probably the biggest change that's happened in the last 10 to 15 years.
The financial piece is also constantly changing. How do you educate your student athletes about all the opportunities that are available and also how to stay within the confines of the rules?
Yeah, we have a tremendous compliance staff, as well as a life skills staff who are constantly doing programming to help do that exact thing, to help educate them on all of the good and the bad that comes with it. A lot of our coaches are educators by nature, and so they're also doing a really good job of helping to educate our young people. And then as sport administrators, we're just helping our student athletes to find that balance of being really, really great academically, being really, really, really great athletically, but then also how to take advantage of all these opportunities that are at your fingertips.
How have you seen the popularity of women's sports surge over the last few years? And do you think Nebraska specifically has played a role in that?
Yeah, you think about the stadium match, and that match wasn't just Nebraska, it wasn't just nationally, it's gone global, right? And I think Danny and some of our student athletes said it yesterday at Big Ten Media Day. Because of that event, we had international athletes at our camps this summer. So just the impact of that had a really, really wide and broad reach. But yeah, I think Nebraska has been at the forefront of that, but also has benefited from it. You look at our venues, whether it's Devaney or Bolin Stadium, you look at regular season, postseason, on the road. Nebraska fans support and travel for our women's sports, and it's really cool. It's really unique. I hope our student athletes understand that and appreciate it. But Nebraska's certainly been at the forefront of the growth of women's athletics for sure.
I'm going to go into a bit of your resume. Now, you played basketball at Northern Illinois, right? And then you were in administration at Maryland and Texas A&M, correct? Yeah. So how does Nebraska's fan support compare to where you've been?
Yeah, well, first of all, it wasn't my intent to work at all of these big brands going into my career. It just so happened that way. I'm also not saying this because Nebraska pays my check. But when you look at the data and what I would call the core four sports on the women's side, so that's soccer, volleyball, women's basketball, softball, the majority of Division I schools sponsor those four sports, so that's why it's the core four. Nebraska has ranked at the top or near the top in average attendance across those four sports. So the proof is in the data that our fans show up. And again, whether it's at home or on the road, there really is no place like Nebraska in the support that we get. And again, I hope our student athletes understand how special it is, because I've seen it at different places and traveled with our teams to different places. And some schools might have a one-off sport that gets that kind of support, but we get it across the board.
Outside of having a national championship, the previous athletic season was pretty incredible. For the core four, as you mentioned, how do you carry that momentum into this season?
Yeah, I think that kind of success rubs off on each other, and soccer wants to be around volleyball, who wants to be around women's basketball, who wants to be around softball, and it just kind of breeds more success. And those coaches are talking to each other, and success leaves clues, right? And so Rhonda and Amy are collaborating, and so is Danny, and so is John Walker, and so is Paul Klempa. So I think all of that, just kind of being around each other and rubbing elbows with each other, it just helps. And everybody's competitive, right? We live in this environment of competition, and so each sport kind of wants to outdo the other, which I think helps drive up the success level.
I have to ask about volleyball just because it's starting up right now. The first month of the volleyball season is pretty incredible. How do you expect the team to handle that?
Yeah. In some ways, it's kind of old hat for them. Like, they're used to playing in these big events, whether it was the AVCA showcase the last couple of years, the stadium match. The senior class is a veteran group who's been through a lot of those things. So in a lot of ways, it doesn't faze them because they've got that experience. But there's also a level of excitement there that I know the coaching staff will talk to them about just, approaching it with an even keel approach. But I wouldn't want another senior class leading our group because they've had that experience and they've been through this before.
The new 5-for-5 ruling will certainly impact volleyball along with other sports. From an administrative perspective, what guidance do you give?
Yeah, well, right now we're still trying to navigate what the rules are and what they may or may not be, and there's still a lot that could potentially play out as it relates to 5-for-5. But it's, every coach has to evaluate their program and what they might be scheduled to have coming in, and if they were to keep some of these kids for 5 years, how does that impact what they have coming in? So just trying to be a sounding board for our coaches and support them in the best way that we can, just knowing that one decision can impact either way, the incoming classes or the outgoing.
I won't make you get into the specifics of what's going on in Congress and stuff right now, but do you keep tabs on all of that? And what do you say to your coaches that are constantly coming with questions about what's next?
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep tabs on it, right, as an administrator. But in terms of guiding our coach, it's like, hey, I'm telling you this information today, but just know that tomorrow or even an hour from now, it could change. And I'm going to do my best to communicate those changes to you and keep you in the loop as much as I can. But just know this is a constantly evolving situation, like it has been, it seems like, for the last 5 or 6 years. And you make the best decisions that you can with the information that you have at the time.
Last question, finish this sentence. In 5 years, the state of women's college athletics will be
better than it is today. I think we've just scratched the surface of what women's sports can be, and the success and the celebrity and the status that women's sports can have. And we've seen something really neat these last few years, but I really think that we're just scratching the surface.
Kristen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
When we come back, we sit down with our own Andy Kendi and recall the changes, the impacts those changes had, and the overall narrative written in Husker athletics since joining the Big Ten. First, a reminder that your comments are an important part of the show. If you want to be heard, email those comments to news@ketv.com. Remember, we love hearing from you. We'll be right back.